Hi, I'm Denise Mazzola. Welcome to another episode of Doggy Dilemmas. Today we're going to meet a little dog named Beans, Linda, and Moxie, and we'll see what the problems are. I know there's some resource guarding and some fears around aggression and biting, so let's go on and meet them and see how we can help them.
Denise Mazzola is a certified professional dog trainer with over 20 years' experience training dogs and people. If you've got a doggy dilemma, Denise can help.
Okay, here we are with Linda and Bill. Linda, tell me a little bit about the dogs we have here and who we're going to be talking about today.
Well, this is Moxie, and we adopted Moxie in November
Okay.
from Paws for Rescue. And then the dog that's having the issues is Beans. And Beans we got from a rescue 3.5 years ago when he was a year and a half.
Okay, so what kind of dog is Moxie?
He is a Terrier Spaniel.
Okay, and he's how old?
He will be a year in April.
Okay, so he's a year old. You've had him for about 4 months. Terrier Spaniel. No issues with Moxie.
No, just that he's a puppy and he loves to chew.
Okay. All right, and tell me about Beans, who's kind of hiding there behind your leg.
Beans we've had for 3.5 years.
Okay.
We
How
got
old
him.
is Beans?
He's 5.
Okay.
And he has growling issues.
All right, so let's go up through where and when is he growling?
He growls if somebody comes to the door.
So, like, I came in and we didn't see too much,
No,
but normally he would be growling and barking.
he'd be growling and barking.
And if we hadn't been outside sort of setting things up, would he allow us to come in right away?
No, he'd still growl and bark at you.
Okay,
He
and-
growls and barks at our grandchildren who he sees every other day.
Okay. But they can come in and you're not worried about him biting at that point.
No.
Okay. What else?
And then he didn't always growl. He was a really good dog for the first, year and a half, almost 2 years that we had him. And then
And tell me again how old he was when you adopted him.
a year and a half.
All right, so it was a year and a half, and for the first year to 2 years,
Right.
you had no issues.
No.
Okay. So what happened at that year and a half to 2 year mark?
About a year ago in December, he started growling. He'd growl if I went into the bedroom and he was laying on the bed and my husband was in bed.
Okay. And he had not done that before.
No.
Okay.
No. It was actually in the morning when I'd go off to work.
Okay.
And I'd go say goodbye, and he'd growl at me. Or he started growling when my husband sits in the chair and he's sitting on my husband's lap.
So similar to this setup here. Okay.
Yeah. And then, but it was off and on. It wasn't too bad. And then he would growl if people came to the house. Like he'd sit under the kitchen table and if we were sitting around the table having coffee or visiting or something, he would growl under the table.
Okay. Sitting under your dining room table, your
Yes,
kitchen table.
under
Okay.
the dining room table. And then he got a little worse this past summer, but we had a golden retriever that was sick. And then the golden retriever died in October, and since then he's gotten much worse.
Okay. What was his relationship like with the golden retriever? I mean, it sounds like he was an older dog.
Peter was 9,
Okay.
so Moxie was a puppy when, and Peter was an older dog, and Beanie was a puppy.
Okay. And
When we got
did
him.
they play together?
Yeah,
You know,
they had a good time together. They
Okay.
played together. They ran around together. They went in car rides together. They'd sleep next to each other.
Okay. And are these two that kind of buddies now?
Not the same kind of a buddy that the Golden and Beanie were.
Okay. So let's just dissect this situation. If you're Linda, if you're on the couch with Beans and Bill comes in, does Beans growl at Bill?
Really? No,
Okay.
not really. Once in a while, if it's my grandchildren,
And he's on your lap.
yeah, he'll
Okay.
growl at them.
Okay. And whenever he's on your lap, Bill, and anybody approaches, does he get growly?
Pretty much so.
Anybody? Okay.
Yeah.
Have you tried anything? What have we tried to date? Anything at all?
I make him get out of my lap and sit
Okay.
on the floor.
Okay, that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Great idea. And do you feel like it's helped? Made it better, worse, the same?
Yeah, I think it's helped. Yeah. But he'll get on the floor and he'll sit there and growl.
Okay, so we'll just sit next to
Yeah,
you.
but not real loud. But he'll just growl just to let you know he can growl, I guess.
Okay. And if he's on the couch, is he allowed on the couch if you're not on the couches?
He doesn't. Yeah, but he doesn't usually get on the couch if we're not.
Okay. If he's in his dog bed or some other place, can either one of you go up and approach him? Without,
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? Like if he's just laying on this dog bed over here and
Oh yeah, he's fine.
no problems.
No
there.
problem.
Do you have the same feeling? Linda?
Once in a while he'll growl, but
If he's alone and you
right,
approach him.
right, but
Okay.
very little. It's not really me. It's any of our family members or anyone that comes into our house.
Okay. Tell me a typical day in the life of Beans. Like where is he sleeping? What time does he get up? How is he fed?
He gets up about somewhere between 6 and 6:30 in the morning, and he goes out and he plays outside with Moxie for a good 10 minutes.
Okay.
Then he comes in and he goes back to bed if my husband's in bed.
Okay.
And
So he's sleeping they both sleep in bed with you?
yeah, or under the bed. Yeah.
Okay. So he'll get up with you and come off the bed
Well,
to go
it's me
outside.
he wakes up to get up.
Okay.
It's me he gets to go let him outside.
Okay. So he'll actually wake you up to go outside at 6:30.
If I'm not awake, yeah.
Okay. Even on the weekends?
Yeah.
Okay. And then he just comes back in and goes to bed. So he clearly needs to go out? Okay. All right.
Yeah.
He'd stay in bed all day if I did.
Yeah, I think he would.
Oh, that could be good and bad. I don't know. Okay.
I'll try that tomorrow.
All right. Let me know how that works. Okay. So on a typical Monday through Friday, do you feed him? Where is he fed?
So
and
then
how's
when
it?
he gets up, it's probably around 8 o'clock.
And is that because Bill's gotten up?
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Right. He wouldn't stay in there without him.
Okay.
So, and then if usually Billy's watching the news, and so Bean sits on his lap in the chair, and then about somewhere between 8:30 and 9, we feed him.
Okay. And who feeds him?
I do.
Okay.
So, and he has a separate spot from where Moxie is fed.
Is that because there were issues, or are you just being?
No, I just have always done that.
Yep, that's fine.
So-
Good idea.
And sometimes he'll gobble it right down, and sometimes he'll just sniff it and leave it alone. Or sometimes, if Moxie comes near him, he'll growl at him. Or if
Okay.
we have a cat, if the cat comes near him, he'll growl at the cat.
Okay.
But he's not interested in the food, but he doesn't want anyone else to be interested in
Of
it.
course.
Um,
How about with you guys? Are you able to approach him while he has food?
yeah.
Okay.
So
Okay, so he's fed between 8:30 and 9.
and then he'll go out again after he eats.
Okay.
Depending, like right now it's a little different, but if it was summertime, it would be, he'd be out a lot more.
Right, sure. We all would be. Okay, so you let him out again. Okay.
Yeah, and he goes out and he stays in the yard. They both do. Sometimes I go out with him. Sometimes Billy's outside with them.
Okay. He
So
just plays and hangs out.
yeah, and then comes in and he'll either he most of the time he wants to be on Billy's lap.
Okay.
So
And then they're just kind of hanging out. Do they get fed at night again?
and then they get fed, somewhere around 5:30 at night.
Okay. And do you feed them again?
I do.
Okay.
Well, sometimes Billy does, but it's normally me.
Okay.
So, and then if Billy's not here, he will either sleep on the dog bed, he'll sleep on the rug, or he follows me wherever I go. So if I go into the den, he'll go into the den. If I go into the bedroom, he'll go into the bedroom.
Okay.
They both do. They follow us in and out
Okay.
wherever we are.
Okay.
So.
So it's interesting because sometimes in this situation, I would have guessed that you did all the feeding and the letting out and the walking, which would make you more valuable to Beans than Linda. And so sometimes I suggest, well, the other person switch and do the feeding and stuff. But for whatever reason, Beans has identified you as a very valuable person.
Smart dog.
Much like, some dogs growl when they have bones. They don't want us to approach. They don't want to share. So, but you're the one that's feeding them, and you're the one that's letting them out most of the time.
Well, during the day, I want to say it's shared. And at night, it's
But
a
still
shared
you're feeding
thing.
them. You're getting the food bowl.
Most of the time, I do it.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Okay. So that technique isn't going to work. And tell me about veterinary visits. Is he okay at the vet? Is he not okay at the vet?
No, he's good at the vet, although he shakes.
Okay, so he's very nervous.
He gets
at the
nervous,
vet.
but he's good.
No muzzle, no growling.
No.
Okay. And in the waiting room, can you wait?
Yeah, I'm very fortunate. I hardly ever have to wait in the waiting room.
Okay.
But no, he's very good. He's curious, very curious.
Yeah. Okay.
But very friendly and sweet. And when I told the vet what he was acting like, my vet was surprised because he doesn't come off that way at the vets.
Right. Right. Okay. Well, he definitely seems like a fearful dog. In what you're describing to me, I can't, and you sort of stepped on him almost, or he thought he was going to, and he's very quick to be defensive about that. He could have run away. I mean, dogs have choices, fight or flight, and it's easier for us humans if the dog chooses run away and fight another day. It's when they decide they're going to guard their territory or their person or whatever it is, and sort of look like they're going to fight, which he has. But he certainly didn't do that when we came in, which was very interesting. It was not, I kind of prepared everybody, well, the dog is fearful and he does a lot of growling and barking when people come in, so, this is what we might see. And then, he was he was relatively okay. So
The other
I just
thing
had to move in with everybody.
The other thing he does is, so it's not just on Billy's lap, and it is when he's laying in the bed too, but if Billy is in the den on the computer, he usually goes underneath the desk where the computer is. And if anybody walks into the room, even if it's me, he'll growl.
And that's new, too. Like, all this growling is,
right.
You didn't see it the first 2 years you had him?
Right, right.
So,
And the other thing with him, too, is if we're cooking something, frying something, and it is and I believe it's a smell, I don't think it's a sound. When he first started doing this, he would just shake and shake and shake like crazy, real fearful. And then we would put him outside, but then he'd want to come back in because he wanted to be with Billy, but he was afraid of the smell.
So it wasn't that the smoke detector was going off?
No, it
Okay.
wasn't that smoky. But,
Okay.
but we were
But the
obviously
smoke-
frying something.
Okay.
So he could smell it. And the other night, Billy just took the fry pan out and he started shaking. Hadn't even started cooking. And we joked about the fact that now he's afraid of the fry pan.
Right. Okay. So let me just get these numbers again. He was how old when you got him?
A year and a half.
He was 1.5 years when you got him. And you've had him, he's how old now?
He was 5 in December.
5 years old. And you first started to see this
A year ago, December.
a year ago. So he was over 3.
Right.
Okay.
I think we've seen it more since Peter died.
Absolutely.
And he's taken over being the big dog. I mean, I think he feels he has to be the protector.
Okay.
He doesn't look like he's protecting very much.
No, probably not. Okay, so I just want, like, sometimes 2 years to 2.5 is a developmental milestone where dogs are socially and sexually mature, and that's often a time that we might start to get aggression or growling or things. But if the timeline is accurate and he is as old as we think he is, and are we sure about his age, or was that
Well,
sort of...
that they told us, yeah, the people that owned him gave him up freely.
Okay, that's right.
And so they said how old he was.
Okay, so we know his age is to be accurate. And do we have any information from them why they gave him up, or if they were having any
No, the
issues
only
with
thing
him?
the Humane Society could tell us that it was they were willing to give him up.
Okay.
And they did say that I thought that was her way of telling me. She said to me, people are having a very hard time financially.
Yep. Yep.
So I thought that's what she meant when she said that to me.
Right. Right. Okay.
So
Okay. So, kind of interesting. Do you feel like he'll always growl? I mean, is it consistent and predictable when he's going to growl at somebody approaching?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. And so tell me, your grandchildren are here often?
You know, we babysit 3 days a week, so they're 9 and they're 6.
Okay. And he growls at them when they come in the door.
And he growls at them if they go near Billy, but yet then Billy can sit in the chair and Beanie can sit on Billy's lap, and Brady, our grandson, who's 6, can sit with them and he won't growl. But yet he may growl at him if he approaches him.
And he just keeps going and sits on the lap? Is it just that he's ignoring the growling and he continues to sit on your lap?
Well, do you want to say?
No, I wasn't.
So if he growls at our grandson, Billy will make him get on the floor, and then our grandson will get on Billy's lap.
Yep.
And then in a couple of minutes, Beanie will want to go back up on Billy's lap, and he'll get up on his lap with our grandson, but he won't growl at him.
Okay. Okay. And any behaviors? Does he sit? Does he lie down? Does he come when called? Any training of any type?
He comes when he's called. That's
Okay.
probably about it.
Okay.
So.
Well, that's good. I never get that one. People always say, well, he knows how to sit. So he'll come inside.
He knows how to sit, but he's,
When he's sitting with me, when he growls at somebody, and I say, "All right, get down," he'll get down and get on the floor.
Okay.
I mean, I don't have to push him. He'll
He'll just do it on
he'll
your
do it by
verbal
himself,
command. Okay.
And he knows if we're going in the car and we'll say something like, you want to go for a ride, he'll get excited.
Okay.
And he knows what that means.
Okay. And if Billy and Bean are in the car first, are you able to get in the car without him growling?
Yeah, we haven't had
No problem that
no
way.
problem in the car.
Okay, good. One off the list.
It
All
seems
right.
to be just in our house.
So if you go to the grandkids' house, is that your son or daughter's house?
Son, yeah.
Does he go?
He does
Sometimes.
but
yeah.
he's good.
But he's good over there.
So there's no.
No.
Okay. What are you most worried about? And I mean, I can guess, but I don't want to.
That I don't want him to bite somebody.
Okay. Yep.
And our grandson came over the other day with another little boy, and he growled at the other little boy.
When he came in, or.
Well, they came into the kitchen, and then he growled at him, and it was more of a vicious growl. So enough to scare both the little boy and my grandson.
Okay, so different than what we've heard
Right.
of grumbles
When
on
he
the couch.
gets really upset or real mad, he tries to growl to really scare him. If they don't back off, he might even, move like that.
Move forward
Yeah,
towards them.
like he's snapping at him.
Okay.
But he hasn't done any of that yet. But obviously, that's what we
Yeah.
want to prevent.
Right, right. In this, I know this is a crate back here. One or both dogs use the crate?
It was Moxie's. I just need to give it back.
Okay. So has he ever gone in the crate? Beans?
Bean?
Yeah.
No, only when we first got him.
Okay. Okay. So let me just go over a few things. And dogs learn in two ways. The first way is by association. And those associations can be positive or negative. And you've listed a couple here that are really good. So for whatever reason, we don't know why, he has a negative association to smoke. Right? So my guess is that in his previous home, they did something that caused smoke that maybe made a smoke alarm go off. Many dogs do not like the sound of a smoke alarm and get very nervous around it. And very quickly, because genetics and evolution are our and the dog's desire to live, to pass on their genetic code, has them back chain those things very quickly. So very quickly a dog will identify smoke is the cause that causes this bzzz, the smoke alarm to go off. So then they look like they're afraid of the smoke because they're anticipating the next thing, which is the fire alarm. And now with Beans, he's back chained it one more step to the frying pan. Coming out is the predictor of the smoke, which is the predictor of the fire alarm, potentially. That is associative learning. It's extremely powerful. And we're not going to try to undo that, but it's about the dog's or the person's raw emotion, basically. And you can train it if you're being conscious about it in a positive way. It's hard to sort of train the negative way. And we learn by association as well. Some of them are more conscious. I think, sorry to pick on the dentist, but a lot of us in our generation have a fear of the dentist, or as we were kids, so the sound of the drill or the smell of dentist or just the word you're going to the dentist, can make us feel a little on edge. And several winters ago, I saw, but more importantly, heard 2 car accidents. Right, I was just happened to be right in the right place or wrong place at the right time. And then several months later, I was walking with a client down the street, and a plow came by to plow a driveway. And when he dropped his plow, I nearly jumped out of my skin. I had a big urge. I started to shake. It was all about emotion. You can't train that in me. That was an association that I didn't even know I had. Okay, so that's what's happening to him in sort of that negative sense with this smoke and fry pan. A positive one that you gave as an example is you say, do you want to go for a ride? Maybe he sees the leash and he gets excited about that, because that is also a predictor, but it's a predictor of something great, something fun. It's about anticipation. So that's important, because we're going to talk about how we can change his association, because he's also having some sort of association when he's on Bill's lap and people approach or get up and move around. They also learn by consequence, which is a little bit earlier, Moxie was, kind of sniffing my bait bag, so I pulled out some chicken, and when he sat, I gave him some chicken, and then he stopped jumping on me a little bit more. So he'll slowly start to understand, oh, if I sit, then this food is going to keep coming. So the other way dogs learn is by consequence. And earlier when Moxie came over, I was luring him into a sit and giving him some treats for sitting. And over time, dogs will learn, oh, if I sit, I'll get paid for that. That's one way of looking at it. I'll get reinforced for that. And same thing with the down. Same thing if they jump on us and we reach down and we pat them, they're going to get reinforced for that. You're going to get more jumping behavior. So part of what's happening and a little complicated is that we'd like to think, I hate to burst your bubble, we'd like to think that he's protecting you, but he's really only protecting himself. And it's not totally unusual that it only happens in your home, because that's where he's most comfortable. His underlying issue from everything you've described is fear-based. And he might have had more security when Peter was around for some reason. Having never met the dog or seen their interactions, it's hard. But sometimes when one dog passes on, then the other dog's true sort of behaviors come out a little bit, because they're not being masked either by the confidence that the other dog had, or somehow Beans felt a little more comfortable with Peter around.
Well, Peter was a big dog too.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And Moxie's a puppy, right? Mm-hmm. So he's probably not getting any confidence from him, although he's cute as can be. So I'm just going to stand up so we can see what happens with Mr. Beans. And so the growl is a warning. We don't want the growl to stop, because everybody understands the growl. Right. We can also, when he turns his eyes in certain ways, you can see the whites of his eyes, which we call whale eye, which is another symptom of fear. Is he shaking at all?
No.
What's interesting is his position. Laid out on his side with his belly sort of exposed, but I'm not going to get near him, and it's just moving. Like, I don't have to look at him in order to get that out of him. Moving too much. So Bill, I'm going to have you just walk across the room, and I wanted to see what Beans is going to do. Follow you. You're his new Peter. Yeah. So this is all fear, and standing near or behind you. Let's have you come back over. Is security for him. that's a good boy. Look at you. You're wagging your tail. Beans isn't. I can't see his face, but you have like antithesis here. This one's wagging his tail and wondering when the chicken's going to come. And he's just looking like, off the top of his eyes, not wanting to move too much. So we don't want the growl necessarily to go away until we're sure he's feeling better about the situation, because everybody understands the growl. The kids will stop. I won't get so close. People won't reach down and pat him. A lot of times, what happens? Oh, I've already asked you that. So a lot of times, what happens is sometimes people will punish the dog. They might, whack him on the head or knock it off or whatever. Nothing huge or horrific, but just enough so the dog goes, "Oh, okay, stop growling." But they're still fearful inside. It's just that now nobody knows about it.
I've yelled at him for growling, but he hasn't stopped.
Right. Well, good. Right. Because he's fluffy, and his ears are all sort of intertwined with his face, so it's hard to see his expression. Whereas some dogs, even labs that have more defined features, if they put their ears back or if they're pinning them forward, we can sort of see that too, and as humans we'll get a little, "Oh, that doesn't look like a friendly look." He sort of naturally looks friendly because he's small and fluffy and furry. But if you look at his eyes, there's nothing friendly about his eyes. All right, so we want to try to keep the growl until we're sure that he feels better about things. At the vet, he's behaved because he's so fearful that he's almost shut down, but it's coming out in shaking. So we can still see that he's shaking. And it's interesting. So now he's next to your leg, but he probably won't do much. And it seems worse if he's up.
Yes.
Than if he's down.
Right.
I can't see his eyes, but I'm sure I can see them, the little eyebrows moving. He's got his head up. So what we're going to do, so if we may need to put Moxie away, because what I would like to do is work with him with some food.
Okay.
And since he gets
So do you want me to
defensive,
put Moxie in the other
let's
room?
put Moxie away. Sorry, Moxie. Because when I start throwing food at Beans, I don't want Moxie to get involved.
Yeah, Moxie would get involved. Bean, sometimes he doesn't care.
Right. So we'll have to see if what I have is going to work for him or not.
Such a good boy.
Well, a lot of times he won't take a dog biscuit from Linda. He'll take it from me.
Wow. That's just, well, wherever
Hey,
wherever he was before, he may have had more of a connection to the man in the house instead of the woman in the house. It's pretty unusual that the person that's feeding him is the person that's having the most problems. It would be the reverse.
Well, I fed, when Peter was alive, I fed him all the time. So,
Oh, but the difference is I'm retired. I've been retired since June.
Right.
So that may be the difference as far as the feeding
Was that
thing.
about the time that Peter passed on?
No, Peter died in October.
Okay. So this started more in October. So you're seeing more of it because you're home more. Is that what you're trying to say?
No, I was thinking the feeding part.
Oh, that you're feeding him. So that's been recent.
Well, no, I always fed him in the morning, but I don't know. Maybe I'm feeding him more now because I'm retired. That's
Right.
That's what I meant.
Right.
And I may be seeing more of this because I'm retired.
Right. But still, so if I'm understanding you, Bill's done most of the feeding until you've retired, or you did most morning feedings anyway, Linda.
no, I fed him morning and night, just about all the time.
So I guess I started
yeah.
when I retired. It was me that took it over.
Okay.
For
But
what
it
reason,
hasn't
I don't know.
changed. But it still hasn't really made any difference in he still growls at you,
Right.
even though you're the one that's feeding
Right.
him. That hasn't changed at
Right.
all.
Right.
Okay. And so he didn't follow you out of the room, but I suspect if you leave, he'd follow you out of the room.
Yes, I bet he would.
Okay. All right. So we're just going to see. And so what Bill shared while you were putting Moxie away, sometimes he won't even take a treat from you.
Right. Right. If they both come inside, Moxie sits automatically for a treat. And because that's how I trained him to come.
Right. Right, that makes sense.
And so then I'll get Beans to sit, but Beans won't take anything from me.
Okay.
And usually the only way Beans
He's
will
taking that.
take something is if I put his bone on the dog bed, and then he'll go on the dog bed and
Okay.
eat it.
Oh, he likes chicken.
Yeah, they don't get it very often.
Maybe you should give him chicken. Look at that. He's not getting upset or anything.
So what I'm trying to do is work that associative learning. I take a step towards him, he gets chicken. I take a step back. So not only does he get the chicken, but he gets the pressure relieved, because when people get close to him, that is applying pressure, and he is perceiving it as a threat. Right? And when I work with a lot of other people, they have jumpy dogs, and we use body blocking as a method to get the dog to be off of you. So I'm not going to body block him because he's already saying, stay out of my space. But now he's a little more interested in what's happening. So invite him up on the couch for me, Bill.
Come on.
Oh, look at that.
Bean.
Look at that, what a good boy.
Come on, Beanie.
So since he came over and sat, I'm going to reach down and feed him. Good boy. How about that?
Oh, so we just have to feed him chicken and he won't
He
growl.
probably wants to go home with you.
What do you think?
Come on up here. Come on, Bean.
I'll sit down and pretend I'm done, see if he'll get up there.
All done.
Call him again.
Beanie. Come on. Come on. Says, I smell more chicken. He says, I smell more chicken.
Oh.
All right. Look at that. Now you're all friendly. All right, so I want you to get up on the couch. See if he'll sit down and get comfortable.
Yep, says right here.
Good. He can do what he wants to do. So now I'm going to approach, and I'm going to throw it. Oh, it's a catcher. And now I'm going to walk by. Well, that's a good sign. That's a very good sign, isn't it? But you need to be back up on the couch because that's where the problem's happening. There you go. So we'll practice this exercise. Moxie's going to have to be gone because he gets defensive around other animals when there's food. But this is about me changing his association. Tomorrow if I came in, he'd probably growl at me all over again. Maybe, maybe not. And because this is about emotion, even if he growls at me, if I'm here and he growls at me, I'm still going to toss the chicken. But the next time, I'll go further away. We're not reinforcing or encouraging the growling. It's like that when that plow dropped and I started to have all this adrenaline and stuff. If you were going to try to change my emotional response, I wouldn't really be able to learn at that point because I had so many other things going on. But if the plow could drop his plow softer so it didn't elicit all of that in me, then it would be easier for me to learn. So by me getting too close and getting the growl, oops, my mistake, you still get the chicken, but next time I'll go a little further to try to make him more comfortable while we work this process. But he's clearly food motivated. He's not nearly as shut down as he was. Sit. Sit.
He can do it.
Sit. Sit. Oh, you want to sit up? Good boy. Good boy. Yes. So I'd also like to teach him a little more English because that will help him to do other things. And we'll work this process with Linda first, and then if there's other adults that could then approach Bill, throw him chicken, leave, before we ever get the grandkids involved. Okay? Children are a little harder to predict, and dogs and children are equally as hard to predict, so mixing the two when we're trying to work on something. That was a good boy. You moved your foot. Yes, you did. So what I'm doing is luring him down. I'm going to let him nibble the chicken as long as his butt stays on the floor. And I'm purposely sitting so I'm not peering over him in a threatening position. So as soon as he stands, the chicken goes away. Okay? What I need to see is one of these front feet has to come out first. So he's got one out. Good boy. Oh, you got that big piece. We'll see. Oh. So when he stands up, now this is about learning about consequence. Huh. I stand up, everything stops. We'll see if he's going to reposition into the sit. No? Good boy. So bring his head down. He's still nibbling on the chicken. I'm going to slowly move my hand away from him so he has to stretch out. I don't want you to have that big piece. And his elbows are bent. He's stretching. His choices are to stand up or lay down, and I want him to lay down. So standing up makes the food go away. Still wagging his tail. Sit. So what's nice is his fear isn't so great that he can't eat. Right? If he wasn't going to eat, boy, that would be a way different problem. And he stands up. You keep getting big pieces from me. Yes, you do. Want one just for being cute? Sit. Oh boy. We'll try one more time. This could take a little while. It might take, 3 or 4 sessions. Oh, we stood up and moved a foot at the same time. So close.
What does it mean when he moves his foot?
Well, when he's in that sitting position and I pull the food away from him, he can stand up, which is what he's doing now, which is what most dogs do to start with, to continue to follow the food. And what I'm saying to him is, no, that's going to make the food go away. So now he has to sort through, well, how can I keep following the food if I don't stand up? So what I'm looking for is sometimes a paw comes out, and then the next front foot comes out, and the next front foot until he finally lays down. Okay, so this one's been moving a little bit. Can we get you straightened out a little bit? So, and I also need to make sure, so I'm going to throw a piece of chicken to move him away. Ready? Look at that. Because I need him further out from the chair. I can't ask him to lay down into the chair. There you go. Good boy. Ow, everybody's biting my fingers. There you go. So I'm going to move my hand out when I'm watching his legs. Look, my fingers are not the chicken. What happened? What happened? So teaching him some English is going to help, sit, good boy, will help him start to operate from the front of his brain, which is what we call the operant brain. Right now he's in lizard doggy land too much. Growling, following Bill, and training and learning a few things will help boost his confidence. Good boy. So we went back into the sit very quickly. He's stretching. See how his elbows are bent? Oh, there comes that one paw. We're so close. Oh, yay. Good boy. So there's one piece. Now I'm going to give him a couple pieces while he's down here. There's another piece. Because I want him to have a lot of reinforcement for being in this position. Good.
So what is it that you're trying to teach him with doing that?
Just so that he'll lie down on command. So the initial part is he's sorting it out and thinking about it. When that behavior is fluid, when you can do it with, a couple pieces of chicken, make your hand signal, yep, he'll go right down. Then I want you to start to label it. Either lay, flat, floor, or down. Is he a big jumper on you guys?
No.
No, okay. So it can be, you can say down, you can say lay, you can say whatever you need to say. But only when it's fluid. There's no point in saying anything to him now because there's so many other things happening in his head to figure out what he has to do to get the chicken. So the approach that I would take to sort of fix him or make him better is, one, I would acknowledge that he's inherently a more shy, fearful dog. And we're not going to make him moxie. We're not going to make him happy-go-lucky, happy to see everybody. But we can boost his confidence and make him feel a little bit better about things in the world. So hopefully he doesn't have to growl at everybody to keep them away from him. Okay. So the down, getting the down on command, getting the sit on command, maybe even a trick or two would be nice, just so the grandkids have a nice way of interacting with him that's positive, that he knows the game, the kids know the game. That's always very helpful. And that just helps bring him to the front of his brain, so he's in thinking mode, not in fear mode. Okay. The second thing I would do would be, so that's all consequential learning. The second piece that I would do is the associative learning. And you're going to have to just do a setup situation with Moxie away since he gets defensive about food. And so, Linda, we're going to do that. I'm going to have you walk away, and I'm going to give you some chicken. And then let's get Beans back up on the couch with you if we can.
Beanie, Bean, come on. Come on, Beanie. Come on, get up here. Okay.
Okay, Linda, so you're going to walk to the table like I was doing and just throw him a piece of chicken. I don't really care what he does. He's already expecting it. Throw it to him. Good. And throw him another one. Yep.
What a good catcher.
Yeah, he is a good catcher. Now go and sit down and go ahead and throw him a piece while you do that.
While I'm sitting?
Yep. Just hand it to him or throw it to him. Good. So he's really, like, his whole demeanor has changed a little bit now. His ears are up, right? We can even see his ears up under all that fluff. And he's a little more, I don't know that he's happy to see you approaching, but he knows that something different is happening. And what we want to see is what I would describe as he's happy to see you approaching. Maybe he stands up. Maybe he gets off Bill's lap in anticipation that you're coming forward with food. That's all good stuff, okay? And it's helping to change that underlying emotion, right? We can't just get rid of the growl with knock it off, or whatever, which is totally understandable why we do that. But you're still going to get a dog that bites because underneath he's still just as uncomfortable. He's just not expressing it. The situation you described in the den or wherever it is when he's under the table, I would have you walk in, you're going to throw him some chicken, and you're going to either keep doing what you're going to do or you're going to walk out. And you can do that several times. And what I would expect to see pretty quickly from what I've seen here is that he'll start coming out from under that table to see you in anticipation of, oh, she's got the money. I'm going to go see Linda. Okay. What I don't want to have happen is I don't want him to start guarding you over Bill. But what I've seen is more, when I had Bill walk over here, Beans was a little bit about, oh my goodness, my security blanket left. I have to go follow him. Okay. So let's have you do that one more time. Walk away, and he may just follow you. We'll see what he does. Then go ahead and come back. That's a cute little face. Let's toss him some chicken. Good. Go ahead and sit down, and you can keep tossing him chicken.
Whoops, that wasn't a very good piece.
Good. Or you can just hand it to him when you're... Good. Okay, any questions with that? Then I wanted to just talk briefly about the grandchildren.
Okay.
I mean, we can, I don't want to, I can overwhelm you with information, which isn't going to be terribly helpful. I'd like you to work on getting him into a down and...
But using the same word.
Yes, whatever the word is going to be. If he's not a big jumper, like sometimes people have dogs that jump and they're like, get down, get down, get down. And then you cannot have lay down mean the same thing as get off me. So you have to have two different words.
Okay.
So once he's fluid with that lure, boom, he goes right down, start to label it something. Okay. Any other tricks that we can teach him? And I can, if we have time, I can try to show you a few. Anything that would be helpful to get him to start learning and thinking about things differently. Then you're going to do some practice sessions where, oh, good, he's sitting with Bill, run back in the kitchen, have some things already prepared. It could be cheese, it could be chicken, roast beef. I have some hot dogs. I use Natural Balance, but, better than kibble, right? It has to be enough to change his association. And we're not going to change the association with a quarter. We're going to change the association with a couple $100 worth of food. And you're just going to approach Bill, throw it to the dog, couple pieces, and then, whatever. You can, 3 at a time is good. Like 3 approaches, that's all you need to do. It doesn't have to be forever. When he's under the desk, same thing. And when he's under this table, is that when the whole family is here? Or
It could be anybody. Like last week, there are several of Billy's friends that Beanie really likes. But when they come here and they're sitting at the table, he'll growl. But yet he likes these men.
So when they come in, what makes you what does Beans do that makes you say he likes them?
Oh, because he always did like them.
Okay, so when they come in, he's happy to see them.
He was happy
There's
to
no
see them.
No barking, no growling.
Now he growls and he barks at them.
When
But he
they're coming in, or just under the table?
When they're coming in.
And before that, he wasn't doing that.
No, not really.
Okay.
So
So since there doesn't seem to be a huge, he's not rah 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 like lunging at him, moving forward, right? You could have some treats outside when do you know these gentlemen are coming when they're coming?
sometimes, yeah.
Okay, so they could come in, they could, just toss them some food and keep coming in. That's going to change that association. You may end up with a dog that starts to jump, but that's going to be easy to fix if that happens. But so we change the association. Oh, yeah, these guys are here, and they're going to start throwing me food. I love it when they come. That's what we want him to say. I love it when they come. Then it sounds like so they sit around this table, and Beans goes under the table, or is he already under the table?
No, he'll go under the table and he'll sit
Usually
there.
get right at my feet.
Right.
Okay, and he's growling. If they're just sitting there.
If they move around, if they move, then he growls.
He growls.
Yeah, if they're just sitting there, he's pretty
Not
quiet.
too bad. But last night we had family supper, so our whole family was here.
Yep.
So there were 10 people at the table. And he didn't really growl at all, did he?
Not much.
No.
Okay, so that may be that issue where there's so many spiders in the room. I just need
too
to.
many.
Yeah, it's just too many. I almost can't cope with it. So I can't do anything about it. But the three men at the table, again, you could give them all a little bowl of some
Okay.
high value stuff, and they're gonna purposely stand up, throw some chicken under the table, sit back down,
Okay.
scoot their chair or whatever it is, move their foot. So foot, chicken, stand up, chicken, whatever. And pretty soon, he may start mugging him for something else.
Do you have chicken in your hand?
I do.
Feeling a little left out there.
No, he's looking at you.
I know.
Hi,
he's
buddy.
like staring at the money. And again, Moxie's just going to have to go away during these sessions so that we don't end up with
Okay.
some sort of a dog fight
right.
about things like that. And that's how I would start this
Okay.
process. If you want to do another session later on, then I will show you some other things and see what kind of progress he's made or if there's anything else that's come up. Now, with the grandchildren, I like what you do. I like the fact that you make them get off. The grandchild gets on your lap. And, if you feel like it's safe to re-invite him up, go ahead and do that. I think you know him better. I might be inclined to keep him off my lap. Like, he doesn't get to share Grandpa's space with the child. And I'm not sure if your grandchild feels particularly safe with the dog coming back up on the lap
Oh, yeah,
after he's
they
growled
do.
at him. Okay.
Yeah, they call him. Brady calls him up.
Oh, all right. So, but I wouldn't have the children approach Bill with chicken yet. Like, he
Okay.
doesn't know the game enough.
All right.
He hasn't had enough sort of changing that
We're
emotional.
just going to do it with Billy and I, and then
And any other adults. Yep,
adults.
the men that come over, if
Okay.
your son
Or my
comes
daughter.
over. Yep,
Okay.
any of those folks
All
could
right.
certainly do it. And again, it doesn't have to be, like, the size pieces I'm using are this,
Mm-hmm.
and that's pretty good for him. But you do need to be generous. Like, I wouldn't do this with a little tiny piece of hot dog like that.
right.
It's not enough to make an impression on him. And so when you do these sessions, you might knock off, you may not feed him a full portion of his dinner at night if he's had a lot of work during the day. That's all right. The purpose is not to fatten him up. The purpose is just to change his association. And the fastest way to do that is through food and through high-value food. Any other last questions?
What about when people are coming by the door? He'll bark like crazy.
Coming by to come into the house?
Yeah. When they pull in the yard, if he sees them, he barks. Or if they're walking down the road or driving down the road, he'll start barking.
If he's in the house and he
Yep.
sees them, does he get up in this window or just put his feet up?
Yeah.
Or both?
He'll get up on that window ledge. He'll be in here, in that chair.
Okay. I would probably, in anticipation of that, you might want to let him drag along a leash around the house so that you can get him quicker. And I would take the leash and take him off the chair and off the window. And you could either just take him away and ask him to be quiet. You could So let's say that this is let's say this is the window and he's barking. You could try to get your body between the window and the dog being here, and body block him away. What's happening is there's a lot of safety being inside the house for him. And then he sees this intruder and he barks and they go away. From his perspective, he has successfully moved them off his property. So he scores. So every time he does that, it's a practice session for him.
You're gonna have to paint that door again.
So she can come out if you want, but so I don't. He shouldn't be practicing because the barking and the growling and all that stuff during that time is a time when it's working for him. So the leash and taking him off will prevent him from doing that. I'm not sure that you want to move the chair. That seems to be your spot. And
Penny.
I would physically
Hi.
move him
You
off,
were so
body block
good.
him off.
Yes,
You could
you
ask him
were.
to come over here and lie down. You could certainly treat him if he does lay down, as long as he's not barking. Okay?
Here comes Moxie.
Hi. How are you? How are you?
And I think, he's a great companion for Beans because even though he's younger, he certainly doesn't have any issues. So there won't be any, he's not going to learn any other thing bad from him as long as Moxie isn't picking up Beans.
Good thing he doesn't have a long tail.
Yeah, right. And even the thing about getting stepped on, he could just get up and leave instead of getting so upset about everything. Okay. Any other? Was that him again?
Yes.
So hold on to Moxie so she doesn't get down.
I know you smell chicken.
Good boys. Good boy. Let's just give him a minute, see what he's going to do. Oh, hi. No. What do you look so concerned about all of a sudden, huh?
He said, "Who's got the food?"
All right, I'm going to throw it to you. Sit. Sit. Good boy, sit. See all that lip licking that he's doing? That's stress. And he does it when he's on the couch. He'll start licking his lips or flicking his tongue like that. That's stress. There you go. So even though he'll eat, dogs can't say, "Oh God, I'm so stressed out." We just have to watch these things that we know, and that's one that's very clear and easy to see on him, and he does it a lot. If he were to yawn, that would also be stress on his part because dogs don't yawn when they're tired. They might yawn maybe. I've been watching the dogs in my house, and they all stretch first thing in the morning, but rarely do I see a yawn first thing in the morning. They'll yawn as a stress signal as well. Good boy. Okay.
So his licking is a stress sign.
Yep. You'll see that when he was on the couch. I saw it both places before he started to growl. There's some of that lip licking that's happening. And, there's a couple rules of thumb about when he's on the couch and he's being defensive. I would probably just be prudent and not pat him. Just on the offset that... So I'm trying to tell. I think that's about him.
Yeah, I think so too. Is it because he's had chicken and now
Maybe.
Moxie's out here?
Yeah, and I have the food. So again, it might be hard to see, but he flicks his tongue. There it is again and again, and then he turned his head, which is an appeasement signal. So he's a little conflicted because he's growling, but indicating stress, and he turns his head away from Moxie, which also indicates appeasement. I don't want to fight with you. And Moxie seems to be pretty oblivious to the whole thing, but
Doesn't seem to bother Moxie if he growls or if he doesn't.
right. So as long as that doesn't escalate, I'm not gonna worry about it. But it's curious that he's growling there and Moxie's here because I would think he might want to guard the food and be over here, although I'm still kind of the spider in the room, so maybe not. But that's fine if he wants to walk out. We can fight or flight, relieve yourself from the situation is okay. Okay, any other final questions before we wrap up?
No, and then, so then we're gonna do this.
Yep.
And
And
that-
I would start to journal it so that so if you call me or I come back, I'm going to say, what have you done? How often have you done it? And, do you see that it's any different? And again, the growling should diminish over time, but it's not going to suddenly be gone one day. I mean, tomorrow it's not going to be gone.
Right.
We've seen that it comes
Right.
back again.
Right, right. And then once we get that under control, then we're gonna start with the grandchildren.
I would. Yep. First, get them understanding the game with the adults, and then Moxie's going to have to come somehow back in the picture, but be, controlled or on a leash, so that we're sure that we don't have both dogs going for a piece of chicken that flies off by mistake. Yep.
Okay.
Huh, because you're part of the picture too.
Hi.
Any questions, Bill?
No, you give him
Right.
the chicken?
Yeah, I gave it all to him.
Watch
He
out,
thinks
start-
you have some.
Right.
I know he
he'll
does.
start
I have
guarding
nothing
you.
left.
Okay. So thanks for tuning in to this week's episode of Doggy Dilemmas, where we saw Bean, the little terrier mix who has some resource guarding issues, and we met Linda and Bill. I'll see you next week.
If you have a doggy dilemma, Denise can help. Visit www.denisemazzola.com for more information. Denise Mazzola is a certified professional dog trainer tested through the Association of Pet Dog Trainers. The association requires recertification every 3 years with a minimum of 30 hours of continuing education. She has been training dogs and working with families for over 20 years.